Welcome to Daniel Lee Plastering and Rendering YouTube channel, and today this video will be showing you the steps to apply the silicone base coat with reinforcement mesh. You see a lovely picture of the house before. It currently has a white render, a sort of soft pebble dashed finish, difficult to see from this angle, and it's got section of roof tiles, vertically hung tiles, and that is what we are removing first. So the customer would like us to remove the vertical roof tiles, and we will be replacing them with EPS insulation boards just to build them out to the same thickness as the wall, and then we will be applying a base coat render followed by a silicone top coat render. But for now we need to strip off all the tiles and remove the battens and remove the felt before we can then fix the insulation.
Yeah, not really that wet. You're only wet through to the skin, and you know.
Then, once the rain stops, all the existing render, which you can see is sort of a bobbly cement render, wants painting with a very strong primer, and we are using the Universal Primer from EWI, which are very good, very strong stuff. And you can see we're applying it over all the render. Also, where the roof tiles and battens have been removed, exposing the breeze block, that has all had a very thorough coat, as you can see here. This primer should be applied very generously. All too often I've seen people just sort of give it a quick coat, but I definitely recommend applying it very generously and really getting it into sort of those breeze blocks. We have now applied the insulation boards. You can see I've jumped forward a bit. We've basically dot and dabbed them with some premium base coat, again EWI's premium base coat, and now we're ready to get the mesh on. So we've left that a day to dry, and we've also added insulation fixings to each board, which is also necessary to secure them on. And I like to use scissors to cut the mesh. Stanley works fine too. And this is 3 stages here. You've got the finished at the end with a little bit of mesh showing, and then a bit, and I will show you how I did that now. Welcome to another episode of Daniel Lee Plastering and Rendering. Today we are applying thin coat render base coat. This is the EWI's premium base coat. Very good stuff. It's got lovely fibres in. Not the nicest to roll off. It's ideally you want nice flat walls. It's a bit of a quite sticky. And we are going over here. So you can see the walls had a very thorough coat of Universal Primer. That is going to make sure it controls the suction for one, but it also makes sure this has the best possible adhesion to the wall. And we are also going to add reinforcement mesh. Get a coat of this in first. I've just run out of gear, let's get some more. Is another tub ready? Oh, another nice big tub there. I do with this stuff to go on normally about 6mm. What I like to do is put it on quite generously, and then I've got a 10mm
a 10mm rule, a notched trowel, the notched rule that I will then use to rule this wall off. And then when you bed the mesh into it, that will press it back to about where you want it. Just a warning, it's not very nice stuff to rule with your normal straight edge. It's very sticky and teary and pulls all over the place. So it's much better when going on nice and thin, in a perfect world on lovely flat insulation boards. Sometimes. This stuff is much stickier than sand and cement. It stains much more as well, sticks to your skin more, everything about it is more potent. So take that in mind, or bear that in mind. Make sure you protect everything well. You can clean it off, but it's hard work. Just easier to protect. Don't have to be too tidy when getting it on. Be sure to get your drip beads at the bottom. It's a nice break. You can put this on with a pump, which we have. My pump's just being repaired at the minute, but it's such a small area, this particular one, that it's not, wouldn't be worth getting the pump out for in any case. Okay, got a decent covering over there. Now I will get my notched straight edge. Is the notched straight edge up there, Chris? Could I just pass it? Sorry, look, this stuff much harder to clean than the lime render. It's a lot stickier. Got 2 sizes, so this is the 10mm notched trowel. Which I like. I like to go nice and generous. Excess off in there. Tend to do both ways as well. With this stuff, you want to feel the grate of the backing, the brick. Not as hard as you can, because it's a bit lumpy bumpy, but you want to hear it at least in points, so you know you've ruled it back 10mm. And and you've not accidentally put it on ridiculously thick. It's a good noise there. Okay, and that is why you don't leave your bucket there for that. That is very annoying. Normally moaning at other people doing that to my trail. Not really, it's normally me. A quick clean. Oh, over the side is just a good place to pop it. Right, now I've gone left to right. I've got a smaller one for here because obviously it's quite tight. So I've got this little one. Just check it. Feeling good, so now we can get the 130 grain mesh. When you unravel it as well, a good tip, so I roll mine up, you see it curls in a certain way. Always open it out to the wall. If you stick it this way, sometimes it's difficult to stick. This actually is quite sticky, but always open it up so it curls in towards the wall, much easier. I've pre-cut this. It should line up pretty nice, and it does. And then just cut around. Cut around the windows. I like using scissors. Stanley works. My frustration with Stanley is it sometimes tears and snags it if the blade's not really sharp. So they're fine if the blades are lovely and sharp. Scissors a bit more precise, in my opinion, of course. Each their own. Doesn't really matter. And then you want to bed it in quite methodically. Maybe start at the top. You don't want to trap any bubbles in. This is quite thick mesh. It's got a nice rigidity to it, so it actually helps flatten the wall out a bit as well. Now you can, some people press this in and really work that gear to the front. I like to just bed it flat with the trowel, how I've done it. And now I'll put another thin coat over the top of that. I've personally found you end up with a much flatter wall this way. Oh, not a bad morning after all. Minus, 2 or 3 degrees when we wake up this morning. That is too cold to do this, obviously. So, that's technically not true. There's a product you can use to 0 degrees. It's certainly a heck of a lot warmer now. And basically, this is almost like a coat of internal finish, like a coat. This is just a mil or two thick. Going over it nicely with the trowel. Another issue when you do this, if you're not quick enough over it, it gets very teary. So if it starts to tear, I personally, well, I'll just leave it, walk away. Once it's hardened a bit more, you can then go back over it. But I personally have found the easiest method is to get it as flat as you can like this. Which is pretty darned good. Let that harden. I'll give that the night, 6 hours. I leave it till the next day normally. Then I will give it a light scrape with the trowel once it's hardened, and then another much thinner coat over the top, and that will give you a lovely flat surface to apply the top coat. The top colour coat of silicone render. But that is the basics of putting the premium base coat on a already rendered wall, so not your insulation board, although the method's basically the same. Just find it goes on a lot thicker over a rendered wall.